Mama C, and it's time for your Married at First Sight New Zealand Season 3, Episode 9 recap. Well, we start up pretty much where we left off, which was the commitment ceremony, and we were waiting on Rose's answer. Well, we've, of course, get rehashed that Chris fires off his warning shot of leave, and then we wait to hear what does Rose say. Well, she says stay, with a little love heart and a couple of kisses as well. She says she's committed to really trying, and the experts ask, well, what can help build your relationship? She says doing activities together. And the experts say, well, is Chris saying leave going to affect how you feel? And she says no, but she's mature, so there you go. The experts then thank them, and then we rejoin them all again in the morning. Well, Vicky starts off by giving Stefan a card to commemorate their first 2 weeks of married life together. That's cute. Stefan, I think he likes it, but then later they talk to him, and he says that he's sort of questioning what the experts were asking Vicky about last night, as far as why did she seem sad and that sort of thing, and he says he just really hopes that she is genuine. Ray and Jono apparently decide to spend the day apart. Jono talks with Rose for some emotional support. Tony, our expert, says that they need an even playing field if they're going to be able to make things work. Jono says he's glad it's all out there in the open with Ray, but he also feels like Ray probably thinks or feels that he's been steamrolled or attacked, and that he wanted to spend some time alone today. But he says they ended up sharing a bed last night and had a wee cuddle, and he said that he told Ray that he was here for him, and that he's making himself available and kind of leaving it up to Ray to come to him. Well, Rose says that she thinks they have promise, and so she's helpful for them. She says as far as her and Chris are concerned, she says Chris has a few mannerisms that sort of, are a bit of a turnoff. She says he talks to himself a lot, and it's a bit comical, Just she's saying like how he gets up and he's like, all right, it's time to start the day or whatever, which it just sounds funny or whatever. But she says if she can learn to accept his like little idiosyncrasies, that sort of thing, that they have a chance, and she is committed, and and he knows that she's not going to hold that he said leave against him. So, that's looking good. Well, off to Jordan taking Anna for some stock car racing. How exciting is that? We learned that Anna Googled how to tell if you're falling in love, and apparently she's got a few of the symptoms. So, it's nice to see her finally relaxing and opening up, because we weren't really getting much from that couple, and now it's nice to see that we're getting a bit more information, which is nice, because you kind of felt out there like we had no idea. But yeah, apparently she's seeing things in a positive light. She has a great time, and Jordan says he's really glad to see that she can just let loose and have a good time and maybe be a bit of a bogan. But he says, however, that racing is high class bogan. So that's kind of funny. So yeah, they end up having a really good time. Jordan asks when she wanted to have her little chat, and Anna stresses because it's the chat she's got to have with him about her 6 tape. Alright, well, then we go on to our expert Stephanie. She says our couples, as they progress, will need to determine the difference between lust and love. So Jimmy notes the experts asked them that if sex, had fallen away or whatever, what would they do for fun? Well, obviously, they're going to go do some pole dancing. It looks a lot of fun. Of course, they always have a good time. And Jimmy says that Carmen looks sexy on the pole. And apparently Jimmy is quite the natural at pole dancing. He says that he thinks their sexual chemistry is just a bonus, really. They both share the same type of personality, they kind of go with the flow, and so he says, 0 issues. Well, we head back to Anna. It's the big chat. She is totally stressing out big time. Now, she said in the U.S. that she and someone made a sex tape. And then that guy sent it to his friends. Alright, she then adds, a few months ago, she did some semi-nude photos. There you go. Now, he said it's obviously not something you want other people to see, you know, your wife naked, you know, but, or especially with somebody else. But, you know, he says he's glad that she told him. And then she says she still has to record like 5 songs with this sex tape guy. So he says then, well, in 3 months' time, when she goes back to LA to work with the guy, you know, it's going to be tough. And, you know, he says, obviously, you know, this guy, you know, he can't trust this guy and all that. And, you know, he said, you know, it could end up being a deal breaker. Well, she sort of focuses on the words deal breaker, and she's really stressing, and he says that he has to think about it long and hard. But he's not ready to throw in the towel, but she's still going to stress over that whole deal breaker sort of thing. But, you know, like he said, he's not ready to throw in the towel, but that's going to be another one of those bridges they'll have to cross if they're going to try to make this work. Well, moving on, we're going to head over to Vicky and Stefan. Well, they were challenged by the experts to look deep into their relationship. Stefan says, I love you in the car. And then Vicky says, what was that? And then he says it again. She says, aw, babe. And he tells us he was just thinking about something and then thought, I love you, Vicky. Aw, Stefan, he's such a sweetie. Aw. Anyway, he takes her for a tramp, and obviously they see some gorgeous views in that. Vicky says he seemed a bit nervous, like maybe the feelings that he has are stronger than anything he's had before. And yeah, it seems positive. It's nice to see. Well, it's definitely nice to see Stefan sort of blossoming into his own, for sure. But yeah, it's really been nice. And of course, our good old Stefan, he charms Vicky with his corny, sweet jokes. So yeah, it leaves them on a nice positive for that. So off to Chris and Rosie. Well, Chris apparently is getting a bit on Rose's nerves. He says, you know, let's talk about last night. You think I'm too old. And she says, it's your mannerisms that are too old. And then he gets a bit snarky and he sort of jumps on her after he asks her question, hardly letting her answer, and he was just being a big crabby, so that's why he got a crabby looking picture. Anyhow, so she tries to explain what she means. She says, your hyperness. And he's like, is that old manish? And she said, no, it's like you're trying to mask something with, you know, his hyper humor, and, you know, he's just always just, go, 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 go. And she says it's exhausting. And she also asked him, you know, if he thought it was a waste of time for, you know, to stay. But I never really heard an answer. Anyway, he thinks that intimacy is what they need. She says he just wants sex. He refutes that and says she needs to be more open. But then she reminds him of her past 3 marriages and, you know, what she's been through. And, you know, she's trying to, a different approach. And you have to respect that, you know, because she came in with this experiment. She really wants to give it a go. And she wants to hear what the experts have to say. And, you know, it's nice for a change. Somebody is actually, you know, wants to try to do something, you know. But hey, anyway. So, as I said, she wants to try a different approach, and, you know, she hopes that he can, you know, respect that. She's organized an activity that she enjoys in her life, and she's sort of hoping that it may calm Chris down a bit. Well, they go to a transformative healer, I believe that's what it was. Chris, you know, he has to start up with his jokes, but as the time goes on, you know, he seemed to finally relax, and Rose said when he finally dropped his smirk, he had a different look in his eyes. And she said she likes him a bit more relaxed. She says he's just too boisterous or whatever. But he then says, he likes his energy. He's got things to do. Blah 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 blah. And apparently, not many people see him when he's relaxed, I guess. So I don't understand. Is he always on? Is that what he's saying? I don't know. I hope you're enjoying the rain in the background. It's lovely, isn't it? Anyway, back to the big smoke. Anna and Jordan are, they're working through all those emotions regarding the sex tape. She doesn't want to give up her music. She's afraid of losing, basically a part of herself if she falls in too hard and gives things up. But then, she knows that he wouldn't want her to if he really loved her. Now, he knows he's going to worry when she's in LA, and he says it could potentially be the thing that makes them not work. And up until now, he hasn't seen any issues. So, there you go. Alrighty then. Well, off to Ray. He is chatting with his mates. Ironically, he is having a glass of wine. I know, you're so surprised, right? Anyway, he says Jono doesn't like his sense of humor. He's too sensitive. He makes, his mates say, they're surprised that Jono isn't getting to know him. Okay, now I'm just going to pop in with my 2 cents here, because how does someone get to know somebody if they go out every night and when they return, they're wasted, they pass out on the couch, and then, of course, the next day, they're going to be hungover? If they're out spending time all the time out partying and stuff, because, I mean, that's the word we use, is he's a party guy. Apparently, that's what term we use when someone drinks excessively. But let's call it what it is. For those of us who have lived around people who are alcoholics, they have misconceptions, and they might think they are the funniest person in the world, but really what they think is funny is actually snarky and mean, but they can't figure that out. They don't realize that it just comes off as mean. So, that being said, I would really hope that if he watches this back later, that he might maybe take a look at his drinking and, maybe just do a test. See if you can go a day or 2 days without drinking. Just a thought. Not throwing out hate. Just saying. Do it for yourself, man. That's all I'm saying. Alright, that being said, I'm done with that old business. I'm going to take a deep breath. And then we need to finish this business, eh? Jono makes a home-cooked meal for Ray, waiting for him to talk. Rose and Chris are having a meal and share a laugh. Carmen and Jimmy are 2 peas in a pod. Jimmy says he's usually the dumb one in a relationship, but with her it's like, they're both on par. And they're both in serious like with each other. Well, then we go back to Jono and Ray. They sit down to their fish taco dinner. Jono is trying to cheer him up and be direct. Ray says he can't discuss his feelings because then he says things get thrown back in his face. But then Jono says he's trying to be there for him and says the ball is in Ray's court. Then they end up going out after dinner, but Jono went home at midnight, and Ray continued to stay out and party, is that word that they like to use. And apparently, at 4:30 in the morning, Jono was awakened by a strange man standing over him in his bedroom, and then telling him that his husband was, passed out on the couch, and apparently Ray had been with multiple men out partying all night and, so hooking up apparently with multiple guys. And so, at this point, Jono is, He's going through the house. He's packed his bags. He's opening the blinds, and he's basically wants Ray to get the F out. And yeah. So he says he never wants to see him again. That's it. He's done. Well, wow. Huh. Whew. So next time we're gonna see Carmen is gonna be crying. What's this all about? There's gonna be lots of yelling. So that's all coming your way. Our next episode. But wow, this has been really exhausting. But thank goodness we finally wrapped it up. So that wraps up this episode of Married at First Sight New Zealand, Season 3, Episode 9. I'm Mama C.